All right, we are recording on Zoom and we are live on Facebook. I am Eliza Bloom Robinson and this is the Center for Divine Awakening weekly inspirational insight followed by community conversation. I want to take just a moment, if you're on, if you can just say hello on the comments. I'm going to go ahead and do a share if I can figure out how to do a share. And just let the world know that we are here. I need to mute my iPad, I think. There we go. Now we won't be floating back and forth. I'm going to go ahead and share in two places. I'm going to share in the Divine Awakening page. And hey, Elisa, if you are here. Hold on. I'm trying to share the page and just inviting people to say hello and that you're here and where you're here from. So feel free to share the page. And I'm going to do that one more time. Onto the group. Onto the group. The Falling into Ease. Oops. There we go. All right. So we've shared a couple of Lisa's here, Nancy's here, Becky's here, Steve's here. If you are hopping on, please just let us know who you are and like it. And although I'm hearing that likes don't matter so much as comments anymore, so like it and comment. And just because I see Elisa's here, this is the Center for Divine Awakening, not the Social Boomers Tips and Teach. That'll be in an hour. So just so we're all on the same page. For those of you who are here with the Center for Divine Awakening, in an hour, I'm going to be on the business page doing a tip and teach about falling into ease and the Center for Divine Awakening. And that's a part of a social media challenge I am in. So let's take a few minutes and just gather our energy. And what I mean really by that is let's take a few minutes and just breathe together. So close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so, and take a deep breath in and bring your awareness from the outer to the inner. Shift your awareness from all of the busyness of the day to your body. Shift your awareness from your head down into your heart. Okay, Becky, can you hear me now? Okay, I was getting feedback, so I was muted. So shift your awareness from the outer to the inner, from your head down into your heart. And take your awareness deeper than your heart, landing in your hip space. And we just hold here until we feel a shift. Until we feel a release and a relief. And as we do that, we deeply connect with that which we call spirit, creation, the universe, source, God, your higher self, whatever it is that you call it, the archangels, the guides, the wisdom. And as we shift our awareness to that which is greater than us, feel your body relax further. Notice that your mind disengages a bit and that your heart fills and that you actually feel taller in your skin. It's in this place that we open tonight's session. It's in this place that we land again and again and again. So take another deep breath here. Memorize the frequency. Lean into it. Become it. And when you're ready, open your eyes. And excuse me one moment. I just have to close this door. We are good to go. So tonight we are talking about, well, the heading that I put in the Facebook post is non-churched, spiritual but not religious, wanting something new, a next generation spiritual boutique. So let me tell you first that the Center for Divine Awakening is a divine idea. It is a relatively new arm, I think, of the work that I've been doing for many years. My name, again, is Eliza Bloom Robinson, and I am by training an ordained unity minister. And I have been on my spiritual path for, well, since I was a teenager. So I actually can't do the math tonight, so I don't know how long that was, but a long time. And I was ordained in the year 2000. And I was called into ministry before that, obviously, and then I was called out of ministry. And when I say called out of ministry, and some of you who are here on the call were a part of that right there in the call out of ministry. It's one of my signature phrases now. I like to say, to groups when I'm talking to new groups. A lot of people want to know, they're curious about a minister's calling into ministry. But what I think is more interesting is my call out of ministry. The call in and onto stage and onto the platform and into that work is really, really profound. And it's deeply meaningful for most people I know, and of course there's always exceptions, but it is a soul calling. And so then a decade later in 2010 to get the call out of ministry was really profound, equally profound in a totally opposite way. After that time, I went back into ministry for a couple of years. And so I've been out now since about 3 years right now. And what has come for me in that time of being out of ministry, what I want to say about that is only that I'm not in a formal church, brick and mortar church ministry. Ministry is in my bones and in the cells of my being, and it is the work that I do. The work that I focus on primarily now is for a world awakening. And so back in 2007, long before I knew that there would be a call out of ministry, I created an alternative ministry called Divine Awakening. So I've been playing with that phrase for 11 years or longer. That's the year it was formed. So the Center for Divine Awakening is really dedicated to touching hearts, freeing souls, and transforming lives. We are dedicated, we meaning me, but we are dedicated to the awakening of the planet one soul at a time. The awakening of the planet for me means that we wake up to the truth of who we are, that we wake up out of the chaos and the darkness and the craziness that we experience on our planet to a full realization that we are light and that we are love. And I think what's going on in the planet right now is birthing pains. I've been actually, I feel like I've been saying that for years, and I have been saying that for years, but we're still in birthing pains. And I had a conversation recently that kind of went like this that I want to share because I think it's really valuable, and for me it was really impactful. And it's like this. It looks like it looks like, or it could look like we're going backwards in humanity. It could look like the craziness in our world, and the divisiveness and the inequality and the injustice and the violence and all the things that we see, the geoengineering or whatever, the climate change or the food or the violence again, right? All the stuff that's happening in the world, it looks like we're going backwards. It looks like the dark versus light is increasing. But here's where this conversation that I had landed. It's not that the dark is increasing. It's that our light is increasing. And as our light increases, we can see more of the shadow. We can see more of the dark cobwebs or the stuff that the iggly niggly things that are just underneath the surface. It is like the light is so increasing that we are lancing some of the wounds of humanity, and the pus and the infection and the dis-ease of that is coming out. But not because darkness is taking over or disease is taking over. It's only coming out so it can be healed by the light. And for me, that was in complete alignment with what I had been thinking and feeling, but the language of it opened me up. It's like, that's what's going on. That gave me this, oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, and then at the same time, it also lit a fire under me, inside of me, not by any one person or one thing, but that fire in me to be even more consciously choosing to be the light in the world. Like not fighting the darkness, right? Not in anger or not in judgment or not in reaction, but simply in a neutral love, like turn up the light, turn up the love. Can we just be love without being reactionary or judgmental or defensive or resistant to that which we are loving? And so that is my work in the world. And the Center for Divine Awakening is really, as I'm fine-tuning it and I'm working in, I'm like, where does it reach people, and how can we touch people, and where can we best serve humanity? And so that spiritual but not religious is something, a phrase that I've used, my whole career. And it's something that the Unity Movement uses. But then I started playing with the non-churched. And here's what I mean by the non-churched. It's not necessarily somebody who has never been part of a church. It's not necessarily somebody who wants to be part, well, it's more obviously somebody who does not want to be part of a church. But the non-churched is a growing population, and many of the millennials, I keep up on my church research and the church, my colleagues and the websites and the research, and more people are designating themselves as non-church. I think it's in a big part because Christianity used to be well thought of, and right now there's so many crazy things in the name of Christianity that people are distancing from that. We're distancing. The people are finding, and one of the reasons I'm not in church anymore as a church minister is the politics within the church organization, within the structure, within the macrocosm and the microcosm of what we're seeing in that arena. And so I'm leaning into, and I'm working with one of my coaches, Del Lewis, who's just phenomenal. He's like, you totally work with the non-churched. And I'm like, I don't want to use that word. I don't like that word. So then we're playing with, what is it? What is it? What is it that's wanting to be birthed? And what it feels like is a next generation, something that's never been before. Not that there aren't other things similar out there, but the next generation spiritual boutique. And that to me resonates. I would love to know on the Facebook comments or even in the chat if you're on Zoom, if that term resonates with you. Do you like that, or do you go, ooh, what's that mean? Or how does it resonate with you, or how does it not resonate with you? The term next generation spiritual boutique. My thought about it, and I'm not 100% attached to it because I'm really, playing in this new world of marketing and what works and what doesn't work. And most of what I like doesn't work. So I'm just releasing and surrendering attachment to most any of my great ideas, actually. And, but to me, it feels like intriguing. It feels exciting. It feels like so far from what those of us who have been church know about church, so far from that experience, that a spiritual boutique. And everything that we offer here, we do the open heart meditation, which is a foundational piece. We do the Awaken, a 12-week journey, which is a foundational piece. We do, we're getting ready to do Prosperity Plus again, which is a basic foundational spiritual practice of abundance. But it is all focused on that very specific intention of awakening to a world that works for all, awakening to the truth of who we are. We are love. We are loved. We are lovable forever. We are light. And in that, to take a stronger action. And sometimes that stronger action is just a stronger beingness, right? It's not necessarily being out on the front lines of something, although, well, could be. But really being consciously in response to the call that I believe all of us are getting, whether it's a quiet impulse, whether it's to build our business or make that impact or stand in the light or stand up and say the things that need to be said, not in judgment or defense, but just because it's time. It's time for us to turn up our light. It's time for us to align with that energy, that invisible energy that is greater than us, that is so ready and waiting. They're like, okay, guys, you just got that one more thing. Just, tweak a little bit more and we're right here. Take that one more step and we're right here. That's my experience. That's what's moving in and through me, calling me, the impulse of creation, which we've been talking about somewhere. I get my classes, all the things I do confused a little bit, but that impulse that is within me, that is pushing me forward, and that impulse that is greater than me, that is pulling me forward. And so Next Generation Spiritual Boutique is for people who are wanting something more meaningful, more deeper. Although this is sort of interesting. Some of you know, and some of you might not know, we've got a retreat in Sedona coming up next month. And so I've been doing a lot of marketing around that and a lot of things. And I came across this woman in one of the groups that I'm in, that I posted in, and I had this fabulous conversation. It was so fascinating. It was one of those that pushed me up every single step of the way, and I wanted to avoid it. One of those, right? And she started out, she had scheduled a call and she canceled the call, and I followed up and said, hey, is there a better time that works or whatever? And it was like the short story of the long story is she started kind of going, well, it should be this and it's going to be that. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's my event. What is it that you're thinking that it should be? Right? I got really confused. Anyway, we had this great conversation about it, and I found a whole segment of the population who I thought would be an ideal client is totally not somebody who would like the Center for Divine Awakening. They're not interested. That segment, based on the conversation I had with this one person, they don't really want to go deeper. They're in a really good spot. They know their light. They know their purpose. Their businesses are good. Their lives are well. And so that's fabulous. And I celebrate that. And then I kind of did, well, I want to work with those people. I want to work with the people who are already good and wanting to get better. Like my friend who's a healer, she wants to work with healthy people who want to get healthier, not the sick people. I'm like, me too. And yet what I'm sort of being called to is a segment of the population who could be either, but yet who is yearning for that support, that community, where there's something missing, where they know that there's more purpose, more passion, more connection, more light, and really wanting a container in order to experience that and experiment in that and be supported in that. So all of that's been moving around in my brain and in my processing. And now where do I want to leave you with that? I need to wrap this segment of it up a little bit. So what we've been doing is inspirational insight on Sunday evenings, followed by community conversations. So if you are a Facebook now, there is a Zoom link. You are more than welcome to join us. I think that Zoom link looks a little word. Join us over on Zoom. If it doesn't work, just go to Zoom and then type that number, and that number is correct, where we spend another 15 or 20 minutes or so in conversation about the ideas that have been presented. So my question that I want to leave you with is, how does Spiritual Boutique resonate with you? How does that land? And what, like, if you could make it up and it would like totally serve you in the best way possible and serve the world as well, what might that look like? And so I just want to open it up for a conversation around that, and hope that you join us over there on Zoom. My name, again, is Eliza Bloom Robinson. I am a transformational catalyst and your spiritual mentor. I would love your comments and your engagement. And some of you, I saw Sandy popped on here live too. And this is not the Tip or Teach. Tip or Teach is coming up in 30 minutes on my business page. But I'm so glad you joined us. So I'd love to hear from you. Post, say hello, and then come on over and join us on the Zoom. And I'm going to wrap up the Facebook and broadcast.